What's going on, everybody? We are back once again with Wrestling Republics, wrestling off the air immediately following a crazy finish to NXT. I'm here with the usual suspects, Dryzzy and Shad. Guys, that finish was crazy. I mean, did we just see a man's head get smashed?
Mama just killed a man. That's what Brawny Boy is singing tonight.
Absolutely absurd. What happened? Drizzy.
Brown Breaker smoking on that Von Wagner pack. Tonight is the night the line officially gets crossed. That was some old school ECW stuff right there. And if you were paying attention to how it ended, that's the perfect cliffhanger. You can't show that type of violence on TV, at least before 10 o'clock. And it's a line that WWE rarely ever crosses, if ever. I'm impressed that NXT was able to pull it off and to pull it off successfully. No, no botches, no trip ups, nothing along those lines. It was pulled off cleanly. The camera cuts perfect. Everything shown in fact, in that entire match was shot perfectly. You rarely saw anything out of place. I absolutely adored it.
I did too, and I loved Vaughn getting in his table spot. It was great. We all, I think, agreed that that was a moral victory, to say the least. Right? Like it was awesome. The end though with the steps is just crazy, and like you said, it's a line they don't often cross. It was well shot with cutting the lights out. Um, I think it made a lot of sense. It makes me excited to see the future of this rivalry if Vaughn can recover, obviously, from having his head basically concertoed on the steps, something we do not see often. Shad, how did you feel about the the crazy finish to that that main event?
Nah, man. I mean, kudos to these two guys having a very violent, like slobber knocking type of match. I think they worked a very comfortable pace for both wrestlers. More so for Von Wagner being a heavy, kind of being a bigger guy within it, and it's Shawn Michaels, man. Like Drizzy said, it had a lot of remnants of like old school like ECW stuff. Shawn Michaels with his booking is so good with taking stuff from the past and kind of repackaging it with these new people and this new wave of talent. And I liked it, man, because you have a sense of a story with Von Wagner where he was talking about his childhood and how he has some sort of injury within his head or development with his head where he grew up having the helmet, and Braun Breaker, being the master heel he is now, went for it. He did the unsung thing to do. And you do two things. You create Braun to be this deviant heel that he's become with this edge, man. He's playing the role so good. And you're starting to make Von Wagner a lot more rootable. And I think they've done a very good job with getting him to be more of a likable babyface and kind of having him a little bit as an underdog with his upbringing and his, just kind of mental hardships that he's gone through and woes. And I mean, how can you not root for him, man? This guy got blacked out like just by the steps. So I mean, crazy ending. I liked it. I thought it was a good cliffhanger. I think this feud is going to continue. We had Baron Corbin there. We're going to see what's up with him. But I like it. I think they did a good job with these two.
Definitely. I'm also wondering, to your point about like the helmet storyline and everything, and wondering if this isn't something where we have maybe Vaughn come back like in a mask.
Could be the
like
case.
where it drives Vaughn even crazier. He talked about, like, right, he was talking to the table in the promo.
Like
and
right
maybe
now, the sympathy for Vaughn is up here.
it is.
I said it. I said it when the match started. They figured it out with Braun Baker. I hate that it took 3 years to figure it out, but they finally figured it out. Better late than never. And vice versa, they finally figured out how to give Braun Breaker some character. Because right now we're flirting with '09 Randy Orton right here. This is something he would have did.
It is. It is. This is sadistic as could be, without question. Yeah, it's easily the most violent thing I've seen Braun Breaker do on NXT television in his run
Yeah,
so
one of
far.
the most violent things we've seen on NXT in the last.
Like, period.
Yeah.
Maybe, I mean, like, kind of like, I think the last one I can think of that was like that close would have been like O'Reilly Cole during the pandemic era. That 3 stages match was close.
Yeah.
Maybe, but even that's kind of a stretch. I don't know. We got a bunch of comments here really quick. Let's run through. We got Matt Williams, didn't watch a minute, but I'm gonna hate everything y'all say. Let's go. It's classic. Shout out Matt Williams. Bobby Petito, hello guys, and appreciate you guys so much. We appreciate you too, Bobby Petito.
Bobby,
thank you for tuning in once again. And he also commented NXT was great, which I could not agree more with. He said it was a violent match between Wagner and Braun Breaker, and yes, it was. And then that finish was even more violent. And then we've got Fernando Quintero in here.
Big Fern.
Shout out, Big Fern. And then we got another. Wait a minute, I missed one back here. Let's go, Shoddy. Absolutely. And then Braun killed Vaughn, and in loving memory of Vaughn. It's your boy Weird Ed Danielson. Shout out. That is hysterical. And this show we'll do in his memory for sure. That is a classic. Absolutely. I mean, yeah, I don't know exactly what's next because like you said, there's a lot of sympathy now for Vaughn, but I don't know if he doesn't come back kind of like almost deranged from this, right? Like just furious. How could you do that? Yeah. And you might still have some of that sympathy, but sort of a almost Kane-like character, right?
Yeah.
Not identical, but
I don't mind that idea.
You know what I'm saying? Where
I like that
it just drives him absolutely insane. Like he doesn't want people to see his face anymore because it's been so mangled by the, now 2 traumatic brain things, and he's, right? Like if they're willing to go that route, I don't think it's a terrible storytelling idea. And then we got another comment from Matt. Y'all extra. This is my favorite show. Thank you, Matt. We appreciate that. Absolutely. But yeah, I think that's a direction you could go here, especially the Shad. You brought up the helmet storyline. That the fact that was mentioned recently. You know what I mean? Like that was like the little nugget that they dropped, kind of.
Yeah, that's where I kind of went to. I was like, I think they're gonna play off of that because I mean, it only makes sense because that was a very like personal thing that they brought up, and they brought it up kind of like randomly at the moment where I'm just like, okay, well that's kind of like sad, like to know about that, but like now you kind of thread that into this, and now it's just like, oh, okay, now it makes a lot more sense.
That one little thread that we've been asking for years for Von Wagner led to a whole storyline now.
Mm-hmm.
That just shows the small things matter.
The only thing that I will say that is odd, and it's kind of funny, and I don't blame them, but you got Shawn Michaels and Triple H are best buddies. We all know that, right?
Yeah.
And they've got 2 big time storylines around like the main event scene on the show's back-to-back nights, with a history injury angle being taken advantage of. It's like great minds think alike because it has to be coincidence. Like it's not like they did that on purpose, but it is kind of funny, you know. I mean, it's not exact and whatever, but that did kind of crack me up. I was just thinking about that. I mean, of course. At the end of the day, though, I think it's really good for both Vaughn and Breaker's character that they got to that finish. We talked even before it happened with the steps that it did feel a bit rushed, the selling on the table spot followed by the spear. That made it make sense. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Once you did the step spot, it was like, oh, had to get that in, and that to me kind of washed away a little bit of that late complaint about the match, if there even was one. But with that, let's move on to, speaking of main event caliber matches and matchups. Shad, maybe your favorite women's wrestler, at least on the NXT roster. We know that.
What time? What time is it?
I believe it's Tiffy time.
It's Tiffy time, man.
It's Tiffy time.
It
Tiffany
certainly
Stratton.
ain't clobbering time. It ain't clobbering time.
It ain't clobbering time. Not now. It's not.
The center of the universe, man.
Tiffy time. Against Kiana James, as Dryzzy accurately called last week, like a wizard, brought out the crystal ball out of nowhere pre-show too. It was gnarly, but and what was a really fun match. I enjoyed it. I thought they both looked great. I thought Kiana James looked particularly good in this match against Tiffany, and Becky Lynch call out. Okay, let's talk now. Shad, break it down for me, and then I'll toss it to you, Dryzzy.
Yeah, I mean, the match did its role. Kiana James is a person that has a lot of potential in the women's division, and I think she had a good showing. Short match, didn't a whole lot didn't happen. They got a good little sprint in, got some good spots within it, was competitive. You saw the heel tactics of Tiffany Stratton to win the match. So it does, make Kiana look still a little bit strong in defeat, and you can still kind of move her within the rotation of the women's roster that they have at the, focal point of the main part of it, where she could potentially be a women's champion down the road. She's going to have a feud with Roxanne Perez later on in the show, so salute to her. But still, Tiffany Stratton, this match was more to build to what we saw happen after it, where the man, Becky Lynch, is calling out Tiffany Stratton, and we've seen this, feud kind of build from a mistake, which I absolutely love, because they did it earlier with later on the show with Nathan Frazier talking about his botch, but she made a mistake saying Becky Lynch was a champion, and this became a feud. Now we have an actual feud between her and Becky Lynch. We saw Tiffany Stratton go there at Payback, and I'm very excited for this, because you're giving an opportunity for a young star to get in the ring with one of the arguable GOATs in the WWE Women's Division in Becky Lynch. And, I mean, you talk about a person that makes any storyline matter, from just being so good on the mic and being such a dominant presence. It's Becky Lynch, and she's able to mix it with any women's competitor. And I just love the fact that she's coming back to NXT and she's having this feud with Tiffany Stratton. I think this is a good litmus test for Tiffany Stratton. This is something that's going to get her to that next step, because like I said it, man, I think she's arguably the best under 25 women's wrestler in professional wrestling. I think she's phenomenal in the ring. I think she has the character down pat. I mean, you even saw her promo today after all of that, where she had the backstage segment. You saw a new fiery, angry part of her, not the whole Valley girl with the whole toodles. You saw her just mad. She's like, all right, don't take me light. I'm gonna get you. I'm not losing this belt, and I'm not afraid of you. I don't care that you're the man. I'm gonna win this match, and I think it's gonna be an incredible main event next week. I think this is gonna be amazing for the fans at the little arena over there in NXT, because you got a main event WWE like women's champion over there. So I don't know who's gonna win the match. I think Tiffany is gonna retain somehow in a heel tactic, but I'm just excited for it. These are two women's wrestlers I'm big fans of, and I'm here for it, man.
I'm with you. I'm stoked. And yeah, Tiffany Stratton has impressed me week by week. Every time she gets better and better. It is, you said litmus test. I completely agree with that. Becky Lynch is as stiff of a worker as there is in the WWE women's division. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if Tiffany's been hit as hard as Becky will hit her, which is going to be interesting. She's going to, because Becky will crack her with those forearms. Those things are snug, right? She's not afraid to lay them in. And I think that's one of the things that makes her so great. At the end of the day, I'm with you on Tiffany probably retaining. Dryzzy, what do you think in this one? You see Becky Lynch maybe coming to NXT, beating Tiffany Stratton?
She is not gonna beat Tiffany Stratton. I know this is becoming a going thing where I'm just going against Tiffany Stratton, but she is not beating Tiffany Stratton. And I'm telling you this because they're not gonna have. First off, I don't believe the match is even gonna take place next week on Tuesday. I know they've announced for it. They got the graphic up. They might even make it to the ring, but that match is not finishing with a clear cut winner. This is a moment best set for a premium live event, a la No Mercy. I'm looking at this next week being a no DQ, being a DQ, a no contest. I don't know if the girls back there come out there, start a riot or something, or a tornado come by, something, but some type of natural disaster that neither Becky nor Tiffany can do anything about keeps this match from happening. I don't know what it's gonna be, but it's gonna happen. And
That
then we can have this match at No Mercy, where we should be having our big matches like the man versus who I will say, and I agree with you 100%, a whole fiery, ready to go Tiffany Stratton. That promo tonight showed that she's prepared for the big leagues.
I agree. The promo really put it over the top tonight. And let's run through. We got a bunch of comments here. We got shout out Chad, shout out Clark. Who's the other guy? Dryzzy. That's Dryzzy, by the way. Shout out. Tiffy time. Heck yes, absolutely. Bobby Petito. I always enjoy watching Tiffany Stratton on NXT. Another one from Matt Williams. NXT women wrestlers so far along for their background is crazy. That's a great point. Tiffany Stratton has not been in the business that long, and boy, has she developed just, I mean, rapidly in front of our eyes. Kiana James has all the potential to be NXT Women's Champion from Bobby Petito. I actually agree. And I hadn't thought of that much. Not that I thought less of her, but tonight she really impressed me. And I forget how young Kiana James is. So young. We have another one from Matt Williams who's training all the NXT women. They're all unique and the characters are so good. I agree, and I would assume. I mean, Shawn Michaels is at the top.
That is, it's
A lot of that.
it's very good at how they have taken all the women in NXT and given them their own unique skill sets, their own moves, everything. Like you don't have any carbon copy, just copy paste of anything.
Right.
Even the tag teams, the people look different. The women look different.
That's for sure.
It's so true. The unique characters. There's a lot of feel like similar women like that don't necessarily have like separate gimmicks on the main roster. That they're just
like they live in the same aesthetic.
Yeah, exactly. And NXT, it's very unique across the board, and I think that's really key. And then also we have another comment here from Matt Williams. Drizzy, I'll love. Remember that moving forward. Appreciate that, Matt. And then Keon James 26 from Bobby Petito. Yeah, that's remarkable. I mean, that's
I think Tiffany like what 23?
I believe 23 too. That's wild. You talk about just
they got some girls
division.
And I think they'll
be ready for the main roster.
And I think
another
Thea
comment
Hale's
here.
even younger.
Yes, I think Thea is the youngest on the roster.
So Ruka is amazing too.
Amazing, yeah, absolutely. And then another name that's amazing from Bobby Petito. When do you guys think Nikita Lyons, my favorite, returns to NXT? Boy, I hope soon, Bobby. I hope soon. I love Nikita.
Oh my,
she's great. She is outstanding.
Clark loves the yams.
Yeah, Nikita, she's very talented. I'm a huge fan of her moveset, guys.
Yeah,
we know you are.
Yeah,
this is why it's Wrestling Republic late, guys.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, yeah, that's so funny. Finley was training them in 06, 2010. That's actually kind of true. Although I think Finley did
Tiffany Stratton
really well.
Tiffany Stratton actually went to Finley's school.
That's right.
I was reading the interview. She was trained by him into it.
I'm pretty sure Finley, Booker T, and them still have a bit of a hand in the training of the women.
I think so too. I think that's true. Oh, Bobby Petito agreeing with me. Thank you, Bobby. Yes. See, it's not just me, guys. It's not just me. She is extremely talented, as we mentioned before. Let's-
They got salute to the NXT Women's Division, man.
absolutely.
They got some killers over there, man, for sure.
They seriously do, and it's ironic. This match that we're talking about, it opened the show tonight, and it was awesome. I think like exceeded expectations in my eyes, especially if you include the promo afterwards, right? Like anytime you have a Becky Lynch coming on USA on Tuesday night and not Monday is newsworthy, and
Sure.
is a great way to open the show, and I'm stoked to see it. But let's talk about another one. Oro Mensa against Mr. Violence, Ilya Dragunov, followed by promo segment with Wesley, which I was excited about, and then joined by Carmelo Hayes. I know I tossed it to Shad first last time, but I'm going to toss it right back to you because I remember right in the middle of this segment when we were watching this, you looked up and you go, ooh, triple threat. And my eyes got like this big. Let's talk about that. Is that what's coming next? In first breakdown Mensa Dragunov a little bit, but I mean, is this triple threat happening, dude?
Yeah, I mean, salute to my guy Oro Mensa, man. He's a good henchman to Noam Dar. He's fighting his fights for him, but I think they had a solid match. I think Oro Mensa is pretty good in positions like this. He always will give you a solid match, and I mean, Dragunov is always going to give you a match. So they had a nice little match. But yeah, the big thing is this main event circuit that we have for that NXT title, and it's this rotating trio of the champ Carmelo Hayes, Wesley, Ilya Dragunov. Next week we have a match that is set for the number one contender, which will be Wesley and Dragunov. And I really hope there's some kind of shenanigan finish because I really want this to be a triple threat match at No Mercy. It's interesting because all three of them are baby faces, but like this feud between all three of them makes sense and it works so well. And I just feel like it'd be a disservice just to not have them all mixing it up in one match at No Mercy. Like that's a very, very solid like main event to have at a PLE for NXT. And I mean, it's interesting because man, you can really make a case for all three of them, these gentlemen, to be the NXT champ. I mean, Carmelo Hayes has been a phenomenal champion, absolutely killing it, having banger matches. His entire ability to feud with so many people, with them being a heel or babyface, has been great. And then we also have that shadow of him and Trick Williams that's over him. But you look at a person like Ilya Dragunov, he's one of the most, solid in-ring wrestlers. He's got such a prestige character, and he's just built to be a champion. He looks like a champion. He's been a champion before in NXT UK, where you can make a case for him where he'd be a great person to get the belt off of Melo. But then you got Wesley, the underdog, the kid that's been fighting his way up and clinching to the top of the mountain. And it's just one of those cases where I gotta see it as a triple threat match. So I'm hoping next week. I know I don't like screwy finishes normally, but I really hope there's some sort of shenanigans because Wesley, Dragunov, and Carmelo Hayes triple threat, man, you can take all my money for that one. That's gonna be an absolute banger of a title match.
I totally agree, and I think that's the route that they have to go. And you mentioned that it's three baby faces, but they're all such unique baby faces that there's like, it's one of those where like it will still divide the audience enough that it almost doesn't matter that there's not a traditional heel in the match. You know what I mean? Like there's a reason to root for each guy, and it's not one of those ones where it's confusing. Everyone will have their own choice, right?
Oh, yeah.
There will be Dragunov fans, there will be Melo fans, there will be Wesley fans, and that's kind of a fun dynamic in a triple threat. I think that works better in a triple threat than it does in a single situation. And that's like one of those things I think is helpful. Do you agree, Drizzy, that this is the route we should go, though, is the triple threat? Or do you think we're maybe seeing a rematch situation one-on-one and we see like sort of a round robin style thing here? I don't know. What direction would you go?
If it was me, I would have Dragunov beat Wesley,
Okay.
and because that's where the real crisis of confidence comes in with Melo, because he doesn't believe he feels that there's an asterisk next to his that win, even though he clearly said in the promo that it isn't. He doesn't truly believe that. So we go from that to the next week. Wesley figures some type of way to interject himself in that match, because you're just not going to take no for an answer. So I do believe we'll get to that triple threat match, but I do believe that Wesley's going to have to take an L somewhere in there,
That's interesting. And I think
because he got so he was getting very aggressive and upset, and he was ready when he was getting overlooked, when he was taking those losses. Taking two losses back to back like that has to do something to your mental. So now you're like, no, I cannot. I'm this close to reaching for it and getting it. I cannot go back down the mountain now. So you're gonna figure a way to get into this match. HBK, our beloved Booker, reaching back into history, did this himself in WrestleMania, the year that He Who Must Not Be Named won the Royal Rumble.
that is right.
So it's very reminiscent of that story, because yes, there was a heel in that situation. And in this situation, we kind of could give Dragunov a bit of a heelish of it. If you want to, if you really want to reach, you could call him the most heel out of all three of these guys. But we're definitely getting that triple threat match, and I just think that we're gonna take it that way, in opposed to doing the normal, the two go one on one, and then somebody goes too far, both are out, and oh, we don't have a winner. Guess what? Triple threat match.
Yeah. I like that. Now that you've broken it down, that makes a lot of sense, and I agree with you on there's very much parallels to the WrestleMania 20 build. It makes a lot of sense there. That I didn't necessarily think of it that way at first, but it is very true. And I would even argue that you could make Melo a bit of a heel for this one,
Mm-hmm.
as like the thorn in Wesley's side. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like, to me, like, if this makes any sense, like Dragunov is kind of a heel to Melo more than he would be to Wesley, right?
Yes.
Because he's like the thorn in Melo's side, but then Melo is kind of the heel to Wesley,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like, and heelish enough, like tweener, you
Yep.
know, and then Wesley's the one that's like the truest baby face. But
Out of
if
all of
you
them.
are like, if your preference is Melo or Dragunov, you're likely to root for them in that match,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's fine too. I think, given the story, it'll play out nicely, where, like, you know, you'll have certain times in the match where momentum swings and portions of the crowd will chant for, you know, certain guys, but I do think primarily Wesley will be the one that, I mean, to me, that's who I would be rooting for, at least, you know, like, just
Sure.
because the story and everything, right? It's like, it's hard not to love Wesley right now, especially with all that he's done. But with that, we got a bunch more comments here. We've got Bobby Petito. I liked Metaphor. We all love Metaphor. Matt Williams agrees there. I think it's a hilarious name and it's awesome. Bobby Petito, I like the NXT Showcase Legend and Jakar Jackson. Absolutely. I'm with you on that as well. All three of them would have been in the cruiserweight picture at best 20 years ago. Isn't that wild? I love all three. Matt, that is a great point. I think we got to thank guys like Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, and Chris Jericho for that, though. That's, you know, paved the way to size isn't necessarily the flavor of the month right now. And athleticism, it matters, right? And all three have proven that they can put on unbelievable matches bell to bell, and their characters are bigger than, you know, their frames. Is the best way I could probably quantify that one. And then he also mentioned that Carmelo Hayes was great up here in the Northeast on the independent scene. It was awesome watching him get better every show I saw. That is awesome. And then Christian Casanova is a downgrade compared to Carmelo Hayes. Oh, that's actually funny. It is. I think Melo Hayes is a way better name. That's a great call.
Christian Casanova was kind of a dope name.
It's a cool name too, but I'm a Carmelo Anthony fan, so I love the Melo thing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, reminds me of Mello. But yeah, let's move on though and talk about the Heritage Cup tournament matches. You know what I mean? We had two of them. We had Axiom versus the artist formerly known as Pete Dunne, Butch, and we had Duke Hudson versus Nathan Frazier. Let's talk about both. Drizzy, how'd you like these two matches, and who has your pick changed? Maybe in the tournament or no? Still
I'm
staying strong.
I'm still riding with Duke. What we didn't get to talk about was because we didn't know it was happening on Level Up Friday. Duke Hudson actually had his first round match, and he threw Akira Tozawa around like a toy. Duke Hudson is the biggest man in this match. Everybody else pales in size compared to him. It's hard to try to get around that size. Now, granted, Nathan Frazier found the way to do it tonight. There's still three other guys that have to figure it out, and I'm not sure that they can. I really don't. As far as Butch and Axiom went, that was a straight up stalemate if I've ever seen one. They both fought tooth and nail. I think Axiom did a really good job keeping up with Pete Dunne. I don't think that he could have wrestled that match any better. It's just sometimes the clock when you have a 12-minute running clock like that, sometimes time is just not on your side, and this just happened to be one of those times.
Yeah, I agree that the clock is huge. Changes the whole dynamic of the match, but I think Axiom's so underrated, by the way. Like, that guy is so talented, it's unbelievable. The move set, I mean, watching him is A Kid, which I thought was the worst name you could possibly give a professional wrestler in NXT UK. It was just brutal. How do you saddle a guy with A Kid, like a child?
You know what's funny? You know what's funny?
Like,
we think it's stupid over here, but Ben and everybody over there probably think that is the greatest name ever.
I honestly, it's really funny. When I first came on, Kobe used to review NXT UK, and I'd never really watched it. So I watched a few episodes with him, and both he and Ben actually dogged the A Kid name, but they were like, "You're gonna love this guy. Like, watch. His moveset grappling wise is better than he's even shown in NXT. When he was in UK, all kinds of arm bars and knee bars and traps and toe holds and guillotines and things like that. Like, I mean, he is super versatile. He's actually a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt in real life, which is wild. I mean, both. We got a funny comment here from Matt Williams really quick. A Kid is a bad name. Axiom is not much better though. Yeah, and it's a math gimmick. It's tough. I mean, let's give this guy a real shot. You know, you got a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that is like Cirque du Soleil athletic. You know what I mean? There's every single match I see him in, I'm like, this guy's off the charts, athletic and outstanding. I don't know. What did you think about the Heritage Cup matches, Shad? And are you changing your pick?
Oh no, I am not changing my pick because my initial pick, my troll pick, was Akira Tozawa, obviously. But first and foremost, before we get to that, come on, NXT, you gotta like give me a reminder that we having these Heritage Cup matches on Friday on Level Up, because I don't really watch Level Up, and I would have loved to see Akira Tozawa and Duke Hudson wrestle. I'm probably gonna have to go back on Peacock and watch that, but that's neither here or there. I told y'all last week I got Nathan Frazier winning it, man, and I think we're starting to kind of see Nathan Frazier come back after a loss, getting a win tonight, and I just think this entire like tournament is just going to be a lot of people taking wins, taking losses. You'll see draws. Like, it's going to probably come down to the nitty gritty at the end of it. And I just feel Nathan Frazier has that underdog like mentality where he's going to be able to get himself through it and come up with a very big win at the final part of it. So still got Nathan Frazier. In regards to the matches, both matches were great. Like Drizzy said, Duke Hudson to me is a dude who's very underrated for what he can do as well, because he's the one like major different style in this tournament. But for a big guy, he moves very well. He's got like the agility, and he's able to just work with these like smaller dudes really good. Like, he's able to throw them around and he looks strong, but he's also able to sell and kind of play a good role to make them look good as well. So thought they had a solid match. And then that Butch and Axiom match was incredible, man. Butch Angle with the red, white, and blue on, doing this thing. But I thought they were kind of definitely just having a real tough, nitty-gritty match. You see what the best of what Pete Dunne does. You see what the best of Axiom does. And it comes down to both of them just getting 1 point because it went to a no contest after the 12 minutes. So that was the first match out of this tournament we saw for that. So I've enjoyed them. I like we said, man, when they announced the names of the people on both blocks, we know we're going to get a lot of fun stuff going on. And I think they're going to be really creative with a lot of the booking and the styles of matches they have. But I still got Nathan Frazier. It's 2 points for all of them, I think, on the A block, right? The only person that I think Coffee's isn't that.
Coffee got 2. Nathan Frazier was the one who was down.
He got one. Okay, got you.
So he just got 1. No, he got 2 points today. He beat Duke.
Okay, Coffee still got to wrestle again. So we'll see what comes with that. Coffee probably is everyone's favorite now, but I still got my man Nathan Frazier winning. We'll see what's up.
I like the picks for sure. It's been an interesting tournament so far for sure. And Matt Williams with the comment here: are the tournament matches happening with Heritage Cup rules or no? I swear they weren't last week, but I put that on me if they were. LOL. They are.
No,
they're not, right?
No, they're just 12-minute
12 minutes, but the final is going to be Heritage Cup, correct?
Yeah, the final is going to be a Heritage Cup.
The final will be Heritage Cup because that's what the only thing that's bothered me about it is I really love the Heritage Cup rules because I like the corner action between rounds is always just well shot. I think it adds to the drama, almost like a MMA fight. When like, especially like Coffee, the stuff that he was doing in NXT UK during those Heritage Cup matches between rounds was hilarious and just well thought out. Bobby Petito also picking Coffee, by the way. And then Matt Williams is with you, Drizzy. He's taking Duke. We've got Bobby Petito who's enjoying it. And then Victoria fielding her with the woo.
That's my beautiful fiance.
Shout out, Victoria. Thank you.
Love you. He's right there.
Absolutely. Monster shout out. Well, with that, let's move on though to Mustafa Ali and Dragon Lee with Dom Dom, special guest purple ref. They're really leaning into this purple aesthetic with the Judgment Day thing. We get the briefcase, we get the ref shirt.
It looks clean.
I mean, we're gonna end up with purple hair next thing you know. I'm kidding. It could be anything. But
Damien already does have purple. He has purple braids.
Oh yeah, that's right. I didn't even think about it. Woof. That's bad.
We're
already there.
They're using it all.
Anything
they can make purple, they're doing it. And I don't know if you guys noticed on Raw, they're taking a note from NXT. You remember how NXT, when you have your factions on locker room, they have the aesthetic, you have your flag in the background.
Yep.
The main roster is stealing from NXT. Stop it, Triple H.
we got my man Hood Balor, bro. Great Street Balor.
Honestly, the purple flag is the funniest. But see, it just reminds me too much of K-State. I'm a Kansas guy, so I mean, purple I never liked too much.
It's okay. I hate Deuce Vaughn because he's a Cowboy now. So
there you go. Even better, Deuce Vaughn. I mean, even I couldn't really hate Deuce just because he's so little. He's awesome.
I gotta hate him now. He's a
Bobby Petito's rooting for Miss Folly to win the NXT North American Championship. I'm with you there. Let's break down the match though. Josie, I'm gonna toss to you first. What'd you think about this one?
I actually enjoyed it. It's absolutely crazy because I spent so much time defending it. Dominic Mysterio is such a joy on NXT compared to on the main roster. I don't know what it is, but he's a more fleshed out character in NXT. And for the most part, he was a straight up ref. He called it down the middle to a certain extent. I have no complaints. I have no quarrels about the match. It went how I thought it was gonna go. Yeah. But what else do you expect from Judgment Day doing Judgment Day stuff?
Judgment Day being Judgment Day, and
Yeah.
I agree with you on that. I like that he called it down the middle, out of the gates. Thought that was kind of fun, or at least made it like appear as he was going to. And I hate to admit, because I've criticized Dom so heavily,
Mhm.
you're 100% spot on right. He is significantly better on Tuesday nights than he is on Mondays. And I don't understand why, but he just is. He seems stronger, he's booked stronger. It makes sense. I didn't like the initial North American Championship win. I
Mhm.
don't hate it like I did before. I guess hate's a strong word, but I'm enjoying it. He's entertaining. And I like this. It doesn't feel as much like when these main roster stars are making NXT appearances, like they're being sent down. Like that's how it used to feel when you'd
Mhm.
see Mustafa Ali even appear on NXT, right? Becky Lynch, like this week. Even when Finn Balor came back during the pandemic to NXT, it felt a little bit like a send down. It doesn't feel
Mhm.
like that so much. Baron Corbin, too. The way they're being utilized, it's like, no, you're getting more reps. Like Dolph Ziggler, I felt like didn't deserve to be, that felt like he was getting sent down at the time. It doesn't feel like that anymore when you're seeing people from the main roster appear on NXT. Do you guys kind of both agree with that?
Absolutely. It's especially when you have the two hotter acts in the WWE coming down to kind of spend some time with your future. Back in the Ruthless Aggression days, they in Louisville, down here in Louisville with me, WWE was notorious. They would send Kurt Angle, the Big Show, to come down, and they would have feuds, many feuds for the summer with the people at the time, CM Punks, Ken
Mm-hmm.
Anderson, Nick Dinsmore, that more know as Eugene,
Yep.
Rob Conway. If you really paid attention to it, the Damager and Doug Basham, they all had so many big feuds with some of the bigger stars in NXT, and it only well, in the WWE, and it only made them better. So when they got on the main roster, that adjustment was just so much more smooth. You know what you're getting into, and you know if they can handle the bright lights. So Tiffany Stratton, Mustafa Ali, and well, we'll take Mustafa took Mustafa out of that and put I went blank.
Um, Stratton, Ali. Anyway, Shad,
Yeah.
how do you feel? Do you think Ali is a legit threat to win the North American title? I know you and I both love his
Yeah.
current trajectory and storyline. Do you think that's the direction here?
Well, my thing is this though. So I mean, the match itself was fine. I mean, the match itself was really good between Ali and Dragon Lee. That's to be given. And I mean, how Dom was calling it, and then calling it quick after, I guess, was cool. It was kind of random in a way. I guess I don't get the logic of maybe he has more of a feud with Dragon Lee off of it, but I'm a little. I don't know if Mustafa Ali is a threat because they had this incredible promo, this new character, and they haven't done anything with it since that. And you haven't seen that character kind of develop on weekly television. And it's kind of making me feel like, okay, where is he really a threat? He had this great promo, but he's just had a couple just matches sprinkled in between it. I don't know if he's built enough steam with this new character or at all to beat somebody like Dominic Mysterio for what he's holding. I mean, Judgment Day, you see how dominant of a faction they are right now, and they see a big reason for them to have all gold. So at the time being, I would probably say maybe not, but I think it'd be an incredible opportunity to let Ali be champion and go with this gimmick that, he's the people's champ. He's the true North American champ. So I guess it's kind of a wait and see. We're a couple weeks away from No Mercy. They still got an opportunity to go from that. But at the moment, I'm just kind of a little confused on what's going on right now.
Yeah, I think so too. That is one thing that's been a little bit disappointing is just like the lack of direction there, like definitive, where we know kind of what we're gonna get, so that understanding where at least. I mean, is Dom gonna be like dominant as as North American champion right over time? I don't know. And I don't know exactly how deep the division is beyond Ali or Dragon Lee or whoever it's going to be.
You got a lot of people. You got all those guys in the Heritage Cup who can be viable options to compete for it as well. Mm-hmm. But
see, that's kind of where I was going to go with this. Is like the Heritage Cup seems to be almost taking away from the North American title division wise, because it's basically the same crew. It's the crew that would be challenging Dom, and they're all chasing Noam Dar, and that's as over as anything.
And there's some others that aren't. Like I'm pretty sure, this is where you'd add Mensa. This is where you'd add Chase, Andre Chase. This is where you would add Eddie Thorpe, Hank and Tank. Like guys like
I don't know about Hank and Tank.
The Hanker and Tanker. Definitely Tyler Bate.
Reginald, definitely Reginald too.
Oh yeah, Reggie. I didn't even think about Reginald.
That's Scripps now.
Is he still Scripps?
His Scripps from the block.
Look, Reggie got a lot of title. Like they got to put some respect on his name,
dude.
He holding it down, man. He a street dude now. So
Bobby Petito, Damon Kemp.
Yes, Damon Kemp's a good shout.
There we go. And then we got a couple more comments here from Bobby Petito. He's rooting for Mustafa Ali to win the North American Championship. Did I already show that one? I think I did. Dominic Mysterio is a better wrestler on NXT than the main roster. Bobby, yes, absolutely, I agree. And then Mandy Rose was on NXT too before. That's a great point. I mean, with that, guys, doesn't that bring us to kind of the end of the show tonight?
Yeah, man.
It's been another fun one. Thank you guys so much for joining us. If you haven't already liked and subscribed, please do. It helps us out immensely. Thank you so much for joining us in the comments. We will see you once again Tuesday night next week, 7:15 Pacific. That is going to be 9:15 Central, 10:15 over on the East Coast, correct? Right? That's our start time every week. Keep it locked in on Wrestling Off the Air for NXT. And thanks again for joining me, Dryzzy and Shad. We'll see you guys soon.
All right, fellas.